About a week ago, I participated in a marathon with only 1 month of training. I've never run any long distances before and I've never trained for running. I've never taken running seriously and I've never enjoyed running before. So why did I start running and how did it go? Today I was thinking about things that I can do to improve myself. One of the things are the sports. I want to get good at some type of sport. One of the things that I wrote down was running. Running, I've been on and off for a while. I've never been good at it. I've just picked it up and dropped, picked it up and dropped because I don't have the motivation. The one thing that I looked up is that in my city, Trondheim, there's annual marathon competition. Every year there is a marathon. And I've seen it plenty of times, but I never participated. And I checked the date and it's the 4th of September. Today is July 27th and 4th of September is a little bit over 1 month from today. 1 month and like 8 days. So I thought to myself, okay, what better motivation than to participate in a marathon. So I have a little bit over 1 month to train, and if I do get to the point where I will participate, you're probably watching this video, I did something. So I want to document this progress, this journey, and see how far I get with this goal. So yeah, running marathon in 1 month. Back to the present me. I started doing a lot of research on training plans and how to prepare for a marathon and doing a lot of research. What I quickly realized is that none of the workout plans that I found online were meant for only 1 month. Almost all of the workout plans were telling me to start preparing either half a year or a year before the actual race. But I had only 1 month before the actual race. I contemplated to just run 10k, 10 kilometers instead of the full marathon because I was worried that I just couldn't make the full marathon or I would hurt myself in the process. But no, I told myself that I would give myself half a month to think about that. Train as much as possible and later decide how far I would run. I started with making plan for myself in this notebook. I just summarized all the training plans I found online for half a year, 1 year or any other plans and wrote it down. I didn't know how much I could run. Could I run 1k or 5k without stopping? Could I sprint for a certain period of time? I didn't know any of that. So that's why I made time goals instead of distance-based goals for my first week to find out how far I could run. But before I went out on my first run, I had to track my running in some sort of way. I remember using an app called Strava a long time ago to track how far I would run and at what pace. But I like to see what other options there are in the App Store before sticking with one. And that's when I found this app called Nike Running Club or something like that I've never heard about before. After downloading it, I found that they have voice coaching there, where you can select one of many guided runs based on time or distance and a real person will coach you through. I was very skeptical about it, but I decided to give it a try. So I went outside on my very first run in a long time, put on some Spotify music, opened up the Nike app and found a guided run called The First Run. And I was ready. I was ready. My blood was pumping. I was excited to run and I was excited to run a marathon in 1 month. So soon. But I was also very nervous because I didn't know how far I could run before being completely out of breath. And I started running. I ran 3 kilometers at a pace of about 6.25 or something like that. It was amazing. It's not much, but I felt so good after that morning run that I decided to run in the evening as well. I've never run with a coach before or someone that motivates me, so having a real person talking to you throughout the run, explaining to you how you should run was a mind-blowing experience to me. Anyways, that was a short detour about me discovering a certain app with voice coaching. It's not a sponsor obviously, my channel has only about 300 subscribers. But that app did really help me with motivation throughout my 1 month of training before the marathon. And I did learn a lot about how to run correctly, compared if I was just running alone with no coaching. And I discovered that running is such an interesting sport in a way that it's easy to learn and everyone can run, but it's so difficult to master it. And I'm far from mastering it. I started running on a Tuesday and I run every day until the next Thursday. I made sure to run easy just so I wouldn't overload my body. I had so much motivation that I forgot to even take a break. And it's really important to take 1 day off to let your body rest. And you should do it at least once a week. But even then, I wanted to recover as fast as possible, so I would be back out and running again. So I read that it's recommended to alternate between different sports. That's why on my day off, instead of just relaxing at home, I went to a nearby swimming pool to practice swimming, and at the end to relax and enjoy a sauna to quicker recover from running. Swimming is the perfect sport to combine with running, because you're still using all of your muscles, but you don't put any pressure or load on your joints like your knees or your elbows. And I think it did help me recover somewhat quicker. Until that day, my longest run has only been 6.7k. So I finally decided to try and run 10k. The marathon I was going to run is called Trondheim Marathon, and it follows a track around the city. One round around the city is only 10k. So we had to run it 4 times to reach the marathon mark, which is about 41 kilometers. So if I could run 10k or one round, that means that I could run about 25% of a whole marathon. And that sounds a lot to me. So I was really excited. And that's what I did. It's only been 2 weeks after I started running and I went on my first 10k run. And it was actually not that bad. I finished in about 1 hour with a pace of around 6.2, which is not that fast, but I was worried that I wouldn't make it or complete the round if I run too fast. So I decided to take it slowly and run at a slower pace. I remember that was the first time I experienced my foot just falling asleep, and I was so confused to why. Well, spoilers, I later found out that it's just because my shoe was too tightly tied. The rest of my muscles in my legs hurt too, so I made sure to stretch right after. I had to stop a couple of times during my run because I had so much pain in my lower legs. I've experienced cramp-like pain there before, and I concluded with that it's just because I haven't run in a really long time. And my legs weren't used to running 10k. Next day I practiced some more intervals, and after that I stopped writing down the notes on my running progress in this notebook because I realized that the app does everything of that but better. Funny thing is that I went for another 10k run right after that, or not right after, but I had 2 days in between. 1 day off where I went swimming and 1 interval day, because I just couldn't believe that I was able to run 10k non-stop. And well, this time I run even more. I run 11k at a little bit higher pace and at a lower time without taking any breaks and without having pain in any of my muscles in my legs. So I was pleasantly surprised. Me being me, decided to push myself even further, because if I could run 10k without getting tired or without my legs hurting, that meant that I could run even more. That was my logic. So I did a couple of easy runs just so my legs could relax after the long 10k run, and I took 1 day fully off to fully relax my body. And the next day I felt really anxious because this is the day I was going to try to run 20k, 2 rounds around the city, which means half a marathon. And I was unsure if I could double my distance already. It has only been around 2 weeks since I started, and I just recently did 10k. I was going to try and double that. Part of me knew that it was a really bad idea, but I wanted to try. I wanted to push myself and find my limits. And I told myself that I could stop after 10k if I felt really bad. But my goal was to try and run 20k. I opened the Nike running app that I've been using so far and found the guided run for half a marathon. So far I've been really enjoying listening to a person while running, so I went on my 20k run. And the first round, first 10k, I held a really low pace to make sure that I was able to run the second round. And towards the end of my first 10k, my first round, I was still really unsure if I wanted to run the second round, the second 10k. It's funny thinking now about all these thoughts that come into your head about different excuses on why you should not run. So still, after almost finishing 10k, I was unsure if I wanted to continue. And these thoughts came into my head and told me, oh, you're too tired, my body is maybe too tired, I should relax, I'm not ready for this, it's getting late, sun is setting down, many more. And I told myself that I could quit after 10k if I felt bad. And I was asking myself, do I feel bad? Yes, of course I feel bad, so I should stop. But I knew that if I was honest with myself, I wasn't really that tired because, as I told you, the first round I was running at a really low pace. So I knew I had some energy spared for the next run. So I knew that these thoughts were lying to myself. And somehow I managed to push through all these negative thoughts and started on the second run towards the 20k. And when I started that next round, I knew that there's no turning back because I didn't want to run back, and now I had to finish this run in order to get back home. And I did. I actually managed to finish the 20k without taking any breaks. I was really surprised and I was really happy. Now I was feeling overly exhausted, more than normal, more than I should be, because I reached my limit. I found my limit, so I was happy, but at what cost? For the next couple of days I didn't run. I was too exhausted after the 20k. I had to take a good break and recover, but I had to continue. The marathon was coming up. I picked up running again and I felt horrible. I felt so bad. I felt like I was at the beginning again when I started running. I couldn't run at all because I was getting out of breath and getting tired so fast. 2 days after taking a break after finishing the 20k, I only ran 3k before getting really tired and feeling bad. So I decided to alternate and practice running fast instead of running for a long period of time, long distance. That's when I discovered that I can't run fast. I just couldn't run at a high tempo. My body was getting so tired and was out of breath really fast. For me, it was much easier to hold a steady tempo and run for a long period of time. I've never trained running fast. I never trained intervals for a long period of time. I only tried a couple of times and mostly I focused on endurance running. So I knew that this is something that needed more practice. The next couple of rounds I focused on running just a little bit faster and keeping my pace just a little bit higher than my average. And after a couple of days I finally managed to run 10k again, and I set a new personal record. I ran it at about 5:47 pace in under 1 hour. So I was really happy and surprised that I managed to do it. The 10k felt like a piece of cake to me now. It was so easy. 10k, it's really easy. But when I started, it seemed really far and difficult and impossible. After that, I continued running almost every day, and I mostly did somewhere between 5 and 10k. And yeah, it felt great, I felt amazing. And now I mostly focused on my running technique, holding my posture correctly, my breathing, my form, and so on. Thinking now, I should probably done more intervals, but I didn't because I didn't enjoy doing them, and it was not fun because I was really bad at them, and I couldn't run fast for a long period of time, and yeah, I just dropped them. But I shouldn't have done them a little bit more. The day was coming up. I was about to run a marathon. Or was I? I was still unsure if I would run the marathon. A marathon is about 40k and it's twice as much as I have ever run. So could I do it? I don't know. I was really not sure. With only 1 month of training, of intensive training I would say, I still thought it wasn't enough. Because most of the workout plans, as I told you in the beginning, focused on either half a year or 1 year before. None of them told how to train 1 month before a marathon. I've only run 20k one time and I found out that it was my limit. But yet again, just as I was to run 20k, my monkey brain strikes again and I get an idea. I told myself that I would sign myself up for a full 40k marathon to test my limits yet again. And if I couldn't do it, I would just finish earlier and not run all the 4 runs. Maybe I would do 2 or 3. I didn't know. If I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it, but at least I would try. Now I had about 1 week before marathon, before the race, and I didn't want to run 20k again because I was scared that my body would break like last time. So I continued to run 10k daily. And then finally came the race day. Looking at all the people around me, I felt so unprepared, but I was excited to run. I was all the way in the back because I wanted to start as slowly and relaxed as possible. For the first 10k, I felt really good and happy. I found myself a group of people that I would follow because we were running at about the same pace, so I just followed behind them. But I passed them after a while because they were dropping down or slowing down their pace for some reason, I didn't know why, and I thought maybe they were only running for half a marathon, so I passed them. After I ran away from them, I realized that there are no people in front of me, so I ran alone from about the 5th kilometer to the 20th kilometer, about 1.5 round alone with no people, because I couldn't find any. There were spectators all around, but there were no runners, and I was really confused. My thinking is that there were a lot of people in the front and a lot of people in the back, and I was in the middle where it's like a dead zone and there's no people. So yeah, I was starting to feel really nervous and I didn't want to run alone. So I decided to increase my speed to hopefully catch up with someone. And I did. At around 21k, I caught up with a couple of guys and held their tempo. This was the start of my third round, the unknown territory for me, because I've never run further than 20k. And this is when I started to feel pain. My heart, lungs, breathing was perfectly fine, but my knees started to ache a little bit. My head was heavy and I had difficulties focusing on a run. I would just zone out. Yeah, it was difficult to keep focus, but I kept pushing. At around 23k, 23 kilometers, something really unexpected happened. I felt pain in a place that I've never felt before while running. It was my lower back. It wasn't much pain or that it hurt, it was just tired. Tired from holding up my upper body, and my lower back started giving in. And it was more and more difficult to hold a good running form. At 25k, I was stopping after every 100 meters because my lower back was aching so much and I just couldn't run. I had to stop and sit or rest or something. At one point I stopped, bent over a fence, closed my eyes to get a little bit of recovery, quick recovery, because I was so tired. Suddenly I hear someone shouting at me from behind to not give up and continue running. I turn around, open my eyes, and I see the girl from the group I was running at the beginning, the one that I ran past. Now she just ran past me at such a high speed and was really surprised. Filled with motivation, I ran without stopping for the next couple kilometers until 27k, but the back pain wouldn't go away and my back gave in more and more, and it was more and more difficult to keep a good form while running. I was about to finish my third round, 30k, my new personal record. I was really struggling to decide if I was going to run one last round, the last 10k, to reach a full marathon. I ran to the finish line. About to collapse, I collected my medal for participation, found the nearest stone to sit on and just collapsed. I was so tired. I was happy and sad at the same time. Happy that I participated in the marathon and pushed myself to the limits and run 30k. That's a lot for me and I couldn't have done it 1 month ago. That's a new personal record for me. Sad that I couldn't do a full marathon. My lower back was in so much pain and the pain wouldn't go away. I was scared that I would do some permanent damage to my body, overload it and break something, and I decided not to push myself further. I ran 30k or 30 kilometers with a time of about 3 hours and 30 minutes with an average pace of 5.2, which is higher than I expected. I expected to have something about 6.0, 6.1 or 2, but I think because I run with other people and try to keep up with them and hold their pace, I run a little bit higher than my average. The app turned out to be not that accurate when measuring distance, and it told me that I ran about 40k when in reality I only ran 30k, but I'm pretty sure the distance and pace was correct. Thinking back now, over a week after I ran the marathon, I'm really happy with my achievement. Even though I didn't finish the full marathon, I managed to set a new personal record and run 3 rounds, which equals to a little bit over 30k. And when I ask myself, could I have run the full marathon, the 40k? I answer with, how much time did I have to prepare? How much time did I train for the marathon? And the answer is that I trained not enough to run the whole marathon. If you told me 1 month ago to run 30k non-stop, I would say that's impossible. Let's see how much I'll be able to run the next year's marathon. This was my little story about me running a marathon with only 1 month of preparation. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching. And yeah, leave a comment what you're thinking, subscribe, like this video if you did, and yeah, see you next one. Thank you so much for watching, have a nice day, bye!